Hi, everybody. Welcome to Guidebook Greenroom. Happy Friday. It's already December. It's the end of the year here. It's wild how 2024 has flown by. Nathan, I'm wondering, do you celebrate any holidays this time of year?
I do. Very much gearing up for Christmas. A couple of weeks away now. How about you?
I do not do any holidays, but I still love all the decorations, all the lights, all the community activities. My neighborhood is like all lit up. It's just the best to like take an evening walk and see what more people have added every week. And I feel like this time of year, it's so there's so much celebration in the air. It's also a great time to reflect on your achievements and your accomplishments, and maybe make some plans for next year. So, what are some of your big accomplishments this year?
Great question. I always find, yeah, this time of year is good for reflection, but I don't know about you, struggle to kind of be like, yeah, this is what I accomplished this year. But when I do think about it, especially from a guidebook perspective, I think, we launched Community Phase 1 this year. It was very much season one for us, getting things off the ground and just trying to build momentum and build habits and processes. So yeah, I think we're in good shape for where we kind of wanted to be and what we sort of set out to achieve. And then I think growth, we started a growth mission, I guess, and through a course that we took with System, which was a really good course, built out processes and again have kind of started that functionality of focusing on growth every week, having kind of set time for it and things like that. So I think they're probably the main two. How about you? What are you highlighting? What are you proud of in 2024?
Well, before I get into my achievements, I want to kind of poke at some of yours. First of all, shout out to Matt Leonard for the system program. Love his
Yeah.
stuff. What was, I guess my question is like, like growth is a continuous focus of any company, right? So I think it's interesting that we kind of like re-energized our growth efforts here at Guidebook this past year. What would you say were some of your like maybe some highs, maybe some lows? Like how was that journey for you this year of trying to refocus energy on growth on top of everything else that you're responsible for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the highs are short-lived, I think, in a lot of ways. Growth is, we're all kind of waiting for this hockey stick moment with growth, and but depending on what your growth driver is, so we have our own here at Guidebook, and if you're looking at conversion, or if you're looking at it from an event perspective, if you're looking at registration or revenue growth, however you kind of want to shape that bottleneck or that key driver, we all want a hockey stick moment, and it's hard, right? If it was easy, every company would just be sort of growing to extreme levels all of the time.
Mhm.
And I think that is one of the kind of key takeaways for this year. But I think when you're searching for that, what you need to kind of keep a light on is compound growth. And by talking about it in a specific meeting and its own kind of area, in like we have Slack channels, we have experiments that are running. By keeping a focus on that week on week, you're having an influence on compound growth where actually maybe times where we'd be stagnating as a seasonal business, we're actually able to kind of keep up pace without, keep momentum going in areas that we sort of set out to achieve those. The lows are very much it's a frustrating process. Okay, so a kind of quick anecdote: running experiments is really difficult, and it's easy to lose your way. Coming up with ideas, finding ways in which to experiment every week or every month is a challenge in its own right. But we had a moment where our experiments were just becoming these kind of behemoths where
Mhm.
the process of launching an experiment was taking a month instead of a week or a day. And the time we were putting in, they essentially became projects, not experiments. And that kind of took some reflection in the summer to reshape what we're doing. And again, a learning, right? That be agile, move fast, and don't be scared to kind of break things and then correct it rather than trying to get everything perfect. Because that's not an experiment.
Yeah. I love that. Thanks for letting me kind of like dig into that a little bit. As much as this is like a celebratory, reflective time of year, not everything is wonderful and amazing, right? Like the process of achieving involves struggle and conflict, and making mistakes, right? I love making mistakes.
Mm,
It reminds
good.
you that you're fallible and that you just have so much more to learn. And that's what I feel like my 2024 was really about. If I had to like come up with a theme for 2024 for me, it was all about perspective. So kind of on the personal side of things, as you know, I've been working with a career coach this year, and one of my goals was just to like figure out like what am I good at and like why am I spending my time the way I spend my time? What do I enjoy? And can I create more opportunities for the intersection between my skills and my strengths and like how what I actually want to do, right? Um, so I feel like I really put a lot of effort and energy into not just goal setting, but like asking why are my goals what they are, right? They'll just like blindly set up, see something, but like figure out why is this important to you. And similar to kind of like the growth levers that you're talking about, pick like two or three things you really want to focus on that like give you clarity. So a couple of my specific things were being iterative as a product manager, iterating on the craft of product management, like finding opportunities to talk to clients more, finding opportunities to evaluate our internal processes and figure out can we do things better, and not just for efficiency but also efficacy, right? Like do my engineers feel good about the way we work together or the way we're executing on projects? Do sales and support team members and marketing team members feel good about how we're communicating and collaborating on projects? So that was one element to it. Another element to it is just like making more time to read and like go to events and like attend webinars or go to networking events and stuff like that. Um, and tying that back to perspective, it's like what are other people doing out there in the world and kind of benchmarking myself a little bit, right? It's pretty easy just to like work on your own thing and get a little bit of a tunnel vision. So it was important for me to kind of re-engage with community, just personally and professionally. And in a similar vein, like I wanted to figure out like what hobbies do I want to spend my time on this year. So I go to this like crafting club. It's about monthly, and I like knit and crochet and just like gossip with a bunch of women. It's fantastic. But just allowing yourself the time to pursue the things you want to pursue was major for me. And before we talk about 2025, I do have to give a big shout out to our engineers here. They're lovely to work with. They're wonderful people. And we launched some major features this year. We got leaderboard out there. We improved our moderation. Like we did so much modernization of our code base and like infrastructural maintenance type things. And I feel like that jives really well with this journey I've been on of like, you have to really find your footing so you can take a really solid next step, right? That's a little bit more metaphoric than I planned, but
I love it. I love it.
getting a little poetic here at the end of the year. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What are you looking forward to for next year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, now is the time to set goals. I have to say though, yeah, leaderboards, wicked feature that I suppose a lot of people have had fun using it. We had fun using it ourselves at our guide
Mhm.
trip. I also, will just say, there was a few things you haven't mentioned there in your 2024 achievements. I've been fortunate enough to work closely with you this year. I've enjoyed being along for your own personal journey, but even things like the product advisory board that you're kind
Mhm.
of organizing, like there's so much cool stuff going on. And we're both hopefully going to continue getting out of our comfort zones and learning new things. And that will segue me into 2025, because more of all of that what we've done this year. But for me, I think my core focus is, building community is really difficult. It's time
Mhm.
consuming. It takes a lot of energy and, to your point, a lot of iteration. I
Mhm.
really just wanted to get things off the ground this year. And I think next year it has to all be about deepening value. So not just running a webinar because of we believe this is a topic that people want to talk about, but we have to go further before and after to really deepen the value of that conversation we might be having with a customer, building that into the way we really round off the whole marketing approach, whether that's through blog content, follow-up emails, creating sales enablement tools, like everything that we do just needs to be a bit more considered, and we need to continually deepen value. Because if we're going to spend time doing this, we need to make sure, yeah, that we keep coming back to the customer's needs, that we can kind of give them the insights, the connection that they want. The one thing I will say that I'm excited about as a challenge for next year is launching kind of a communication tool.
Mhm.
We're going to be building out a client communication tool. I think it's really interesting to pose a question of like, where do our customers talk to each other? And yeah, in Q1 next year, bringing that to life, utilizing Slack, and just allowing them to share their learnings, their
Mhm.
excitement about what they're building, right? Building an app is a really cool, exciting thing to do, and people care deeply about their events and they want to share that. And we need to facilitate that so they can learn together, develop together. And really, then we can hopefully by this time next year be taking a step back because it's flourishing on its own a little bit more. So that for me is 2025. And then I say this every year, and I'm going to mean it this year. I just want to make sure I'm reading a book a month in not just like non-fiction, so kind of self-development. So like fiction doesn't count. Read those books because, it's nice to get lost in a book, but I want to make sure I'm reading a book a month just from a self-development standpoint and hold myself to that. So it's on the internet now.
Yeah, you said it, so now you're
Yeah.
committed.
How
I
about how
love
about
that.
you? How about you? What's front and center for 2025?
I think a really similar thread for me is okay, 2024, we figured out what we want to try, what's of interest to us. And then in 2025, did I say the right year? I don't know. Last year was figuring out what we want to do. Next year is putting it into practice, right? Like really I love this like concept of a book a month of turning something into a habit, right? Just so it takes some of the effort out of it, right? Like okay, I'm committed to this thing, it's just going to get done, making it feel more of a habit and less of a chore. That's the goal for 2025 for all the things that I want to achieve. So I want to continue to pursue opportunities of learning similarly, and continue to like build on my skills and strengths and keep applying them both in my professional career and in my personal career. So there will continue to be more iteration as part of that process. Nothing's like done, right? Nothing's ever like fully baked.
Yeah.
But at least go into conversations or go into experiments or go into client conversations, go into kind of more collegial collaboration with a little bit more, like I said earlier, a little bit more perspective, right? We've tried this, we figured out what we do or don't want to accomplish and how to do it. Let's just, you know, keep the engine running, right? And kind of and build these sustainable systems and processes. So not as concrete as your book a month goal, but just I want to feel more confident in 2025. I think that's what my goal might be. Is that we know what we're doing, right?
We do know what we're doing, but I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, you know, ambitious goal to set, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, on the book a month, I always have this. Recently, I've just been thinking about, we've just talking about compound growth, and
Mhm.
yeah, a book a month, I always feel like I'm setting myself up to fail. So actually, for next year, that's the goal. But the way I'm going to get there, I said, if I can read 10 pages a day, so it's like a
Mhm.
daily thing. So like every day, I at least read 10 pages. That might take 10 to 15 minutes. A compound growth of that will lead me to a book a month. Um, so yeah, I think it's just finding those more achievable daily goals that allow you to get to the bigger things. That's
Yeah,
something I
absolutely.
always try and reflect on. Because I'm like the big lofty goal guy that never gets there.
Well, I was asking the other day if you do New Year's resolutions, and you said no, and that just cracked me up. Um, because I also don't do New Year's resolutions, and it's like shameful to admit, right? It's such a cultural phenomenon to like
We need one. You just need to have
January.
one.
Yeah, I think book a month. I think it's a great resolution. I will still try to think of one between now and January, but don't hold me to it. Uh,
Jump on my bandwagon. Because even if you're already doing it right, then you've hit your goal.
yeah, absolutely. I will say, speaking of fiction versus nonfiction books, a lot of nonfiction books are like pretty small with big font. So I have faith. You can do this. You can knock this out.
All right.
For my fiction fans out there, if you haven't picked up Brandon Sanderson's Wind and Truth, his latest book just dropped last week. I'm obsessed with Brandon Sanderson. Shout out to Brandon Sanderson. This is not an
Did you
ad.
watch?
I just love epic fantasy, and his new book is out, so I hope everyone reads it. And tell me about it. If you're reading Wind and Truth, send me a note. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think's going to happen next.
Is it a series? Do I need to have started at the very beginning?
It's like our generation's Lord of the Rings, the Stormlight Archive. These are massive books. You're definitely going to read maybe 10 pages a day.
And just is that to kind of would 10 pages a day get me to one book a year? How big are they?
It probably will take you longer than a year to finish a book at that rate. They're big, chunky. The Wind and Truth book that just got released, they had to switch to thinner paper so that it could be bound.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Yeah, that's big.
One day I also aspire, I enjoy writing. One day I hope to publish something, but it will not be like 10,000 pages.
10 words a day.
Yeah. Dear diary, today is got my 6 words down, just 4 to go. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting about kind of like your accomplishments and your aspirations. And I wanted to let our Guidebook Green Room folks know that this is our last episode for the year. Guidebook does like a winter break. We have like a company shutdown. So I hope you all also enjoy some time off, rest, relax, recharge. Or not. I hope maybe you have a raving holiday. Whatever it looks like for you, I hope it's great. And we will see you back here in January.
Yeah, can't wait. See everyone in January and enjoy the rest of your year.
Thanks, everybody.